Okay, so we'll just have a look at your plan, which you plan for an hour plus 5 minutes break, right? So how did you feel yesterday?
Well, I felt a little bit overwhelmed because the students' behavior has been like really bad lately.
Yeah.
But in this class, it was worse than ever. Like they were.
Oh, yesterday?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But especially because they came out like with behaviors that they normally don't have. For example, giving the wrong answer. They normally don't do that, but now I'm like, okay. And I talked to them yesterday, but today they were doing it again.
Oh,
And I was
okay.
just like, okay, no.
So
What's
it's not
happening here? What's happening?
Okay, behavior. But anyway, so as I'm doing this with you, I'm supposed to do my walkthroughs, right? But I'm also connecting it to your professional growth, and your professional growth is classroom management. So part of my feedback will be also about that, okay? So overall, I think you kind of achieve in terms of your goals and your objectives. Looking at your planner, and you didn't achieve all of this, right? Yeah, so that's something you can consider next time.
I think next time I should
Use the
make
SMART goals, right?
and make the I should like also make the session much shorter with less activities and less content.
Thank you. That's what I'm trying to say. You cannot plan a lot. Okay, depends. It's a line, but there's just so many things going on, and then you miss some of what you intended to plan. Most of the time, it doesn't go the way you plan it. Anyway, so I took a note of. See, come on. See, I have to do all of this, but it's good. So feedback, okay? So I'm gonna just talk about your strengths and growth, okay? So strengths, I love the way you are actually using the learner profile, right? You are so good at transdisciplinary in terms of the language aspects, especially. So in that short session, you were able to integrate just briefly your concept of your unit of inquiry, which is related to matter, right? But language, you use different strategies. You have the drilling. You have your sentence there. You ask them to use it, and then vocabulary, and then technology, and so it's very good. Language and math, utilizing various strategies and resources. You utilize translanguaging, although make sure you have the Chinese and Korean. But you see, they're used to it, right? But make sure you have the Korean. But it's one of the best way to do it. Ask the children first, and then if you can, utilize your TA as much as possible. Any question on that?
No. I like last year I used to do lectures languaging when we made groups.
Yeah.
But this year I can't because they just want to speak Chinese all the time.
Yeah.
So even if I give them the opportunity to talk to each other for a little bit, it's gonna take forever for them to come back to English. So I just use the only translanguaging strategy that I'm using is translating like keywords.
Yes, yeah. And that's something you can also integrate in your homework. It doesn't have, you ask for the newsletter, we have the key vocabulary, but it doesn't mean it just stays in the newsletter. You can still ask the parents, can you please explain this word in their mother tongue? That will be very helpful. Okay, so this is what in terms of my feedback. Okay, so ATL is missing. So you didn't mention any ATL there. But again, the ATL, it doesn't have to be that the one that you're supposed to be covering. For example, where is our staff management? Okay, you're not sitting nicely. How can we do that briefly? Okay, so make sure you integrate that. Please focus on this 10 to 15 focus lessons, because the whole, like, you exceeded almost 30 minutes. They were sitting down, right?
I don't do it, but
Yeah.
it was just
So you're
not
aware
so
of that.
much.
Yeah.
It's because I felt like I have to do some things
Yeah.
according to the standard,
Yeah.
which is not my normal
Yeah. Yeah.
type of teaching,
Yeah.
because we see each other all day.
Mm-hmm.
So in one lesson, I'm integrating something of the
Mhm.
standard in the other lesson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you did look overwhelmed yesterday, but I know because again, it's part of your. You need to do the requirement, right? So anyway, it will get better. So 10, maximum 15, because even adults maximum 15 focus lessons, right? So structure of task, students, most of your students are kinesthetic and visual English language learners. So I love that you integrate, pictures and technology again, and your smart board. You refer to the display board when you're pointing out some of the vocabulary and concepts. So that's very good, because that's the use of the display board, right? So needs to consider modifying the strategy, such as supposedly. So this one is a bit that it turned out a little bit chaos. So you ask them to pair, but when they were doing the task, the balance, there's like 4 of them.
I know there were 3 groups of 4.
Yeah, but I mean, again, think about it. They ended up arguing to each other, actually, because that's a lot.
I know.
You know.
We didn't have enough balance. We don't have enough balance.
So that's why I actually stated that utilize learning stations, right? And your TA, and then visualizations such as sorting activity.
Mm-hmm.
So one example, you don't have enough of that balance, right? So 3 balance in a learning station, right? And then they can go around. You will have sorting activity of pictures. If it takes time to do the pictures, you can use your iPad. Your TA should be sitting there, and that will target the low level children, right? And she can actually practice them. Okay, this picture, heavy, light, heavy, light.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you don't have, I mean, again, learning stations is one of the most effective way to do the grouping if you don't have especially enough resources.
What I did was, like, I don't know if you saw me, they were all working, but Jeffrey is my lowest level student.
Yeah.
So I brought a game for him that we played together before he did the balance activity.
Yeah.
Because I want to check if he knows.
Yeah.
But I think the other students, they had low level of English at the beginning of the year, but now it's fine.
Yeah.
But still, Jeffrey, he doesn't.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. So another suggestion, you mentioned that, like, I love that you give them choices, right? But it didn't happen because they have to stay in the scale. So that's another group that you can utilize too, or as a group.
I feel like I shouldn't have explained anything about kilogram and gram, because already the time was too long.
Yeah.
So I should have just stopped.
So that's good reflection, right? So you're just focusing on heavy, light, and then some kind of integration. Why are we learning it? It's a transfer, so go back to matter, right? And then that's it. But I feel like you reflected on that experience. So differentiation, like what we had, we learned from that workshop, right? When you plan for the lowest. You don't have to have many activities, but just think about, okay, how am I gonna target the lowest, right? And then just make sure. So normally, what works best, 10 minutes, and then let them engage a little bit, and then gather them back to just kind of check in. That can be a formative assessment, actually.
Okay.
Right.
I actually, I was thinking, with your feedback and also my jurors' feedback, that I will just do my planning a completely different way, because I will do planning, taking into account Jeffrey first, and then Yejun and all of that. And the other thing is, like, I first will plan the objective, but just like, the words I said, compare.
Yes.
And then I will match each formative assessment with each objective, because that's not what I did. Before, what I did is, like, I planned the whole class, and then I
Yes,
Just
yes,
put the
yes.
objectives and
Yeah.
no.
I think you
It's too
did very
messy.
well in the first few minutes when you introduced the, your some kind of objective. Okay, this is what we're learning today, right? I think, but again, it went so long and then, on top of each other. So that's where like, okay, they're beginning to get restless, and so that's good. Yeah,
It's just like the class is difficult this
yeah.
year.
That's why you need to also utilize your teaching assistant. So I noticed she was there, but as a crowd controller. But if you can utilize her, because they also need time to get used to it, right?
They don't have they don't see her as this person
That's why
that
we
they can
have.
listen to. And I don't think at this stage of the year
Mm,
she can't, because also she doesn't. I said many times to Fiona, most of the teaching assistants, they don't have the teacher voice.
yeah.
Their way of is either very passive or they go from passive to aggressive.
Yeah.
But it's not, there is no in
In
between.
between. That's why, I mean, I know it's challenging. That's why we need to some kind of empower them so they get like that confidence. So for example, if you're again that sorting activity, I think she can do that easily, right? Have this picture or operate the iPad with even 4 or even 6 of the students, right? So just think about it, because it will be a lot of help for her to even, okay, make sure you remember what is heavy, what is light, right? So yeah, okay.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Anyway, any questions? So